Hey there, Teresa here, and today I've got a real money shift for you, which is why you're not seeing me right now. Because here's what I've come to realize in my own life and in the lives of my clients. It's that we approach money and abundance backwards. In truth, much of the world actually approaches money and abundance backwards, courtesy of that operating system I call the archetype of scarcity. So in today's Money Shift Monday broadcast, I decided to have some fun and literally start out backwards. Because what I want to do with you today is to turn things around and literally give you a glimpse into a new approach to money and abundance. So welcome all of you here for today's Money Shift Monday broadcast. Let's dive in. When I look back over my 26 plus years as an abundance coach, there are two patterns that have always been there for the people that I've worked with and continue to work with. One, even if they don't want anyone to know it, they are experiencing some form of scarcity when it comes to money. Maybe they're in debt, or they're living paycheck to paycheck, despite maybe having a good income. They may be afraid to spend money or feel guilty if they spend money, especially if it's on themselves or especially if it's something they don't really need. They may be under earning, like blocking themselves from having the income that they need, and they are definitely under enjoying their money. So that's one pattern. Now, the second pattern is this chronic experience of scarcity, this sense of not enough, this fear of not enough, despite all that they know to do and all that they've tried to do to fix it, to solve it, frustrates the heck out of them. They are so frustrated. And maybe since you're here watching this video, you can relate. Maybe one of your most dominant experiences around money, even if you don't want anybody to know it, even if you think positively and look, happy, is you're just frustrated because it's just not going the way you want it to go. Give me some I can relate, or, oh yeah, I know that frustration one in the chat if you can relate to this. If you have consistently or often or regularly felt frustrated when it comes to money, I am so glad you're here. Because that frustration is probably a sign that how you've been approaching money and abundance is backwards too. Now, let me say a little bit more about the people I work with. And just so you know, what I'm sharing here is like a mini autobiography of myself as well. You see, they think they know all the things they need to do. They've tried to do all the things that they think they should do. Maybe they've even succeeded at many of them. Maybe they've gotten out of debt, or maybe they are making more money, or they actually have money in savings now. And yet it's still not enough. They're still not experiencing the abundance they thought they would and expected they would when they achieved these monetary goals. They're still not experiencing the freedom, the joy, the peace of mind, the fulfillment that they want and thought they would experience once they were out of debt, once they were making this amount of money, once they had this amount in savings. If you can relate to this, again, I know it's a very courageous act for you to admit it in the chat because you don't want anybody to know if you're at all like me. I don't want people to know that. I want everybody to think I'm great and I'm fine and I'm successful. But go ahead and take a step out of hiding and just put it in the chat and say, I can relate. And why is that? Why does all of that not work out the way we expect? It's again, because we're going at things backwards. Here's what I mean by that. to a T, and I mean that no pun intended, since I usually sign off my emails with T, all of the people I have worked with over the past 26 years, and that's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people, have wanted to have a new experience of money, a new experience with money. And what they've done to try and have that new experience with money was to focus on the money, to do all those things that they've been told to do and knew to do or thought they would do that would change their relationship with money, and even better, change the dollars in their bank account, change their financial reality. What they didn't realize they were doing with like trying to change their finances, focusing on the money to have this new experience with money, was they were trying to change their externals, like the bank account, thinking that changing the externals would change their internals. Like they wouldn't be afraid, they'd feel more free. They wouldn't feel frustrated, they'd feel more peaceful. They wouldn't feel guilty, they'd feel more joy. You get the idea. And then the frustration got worse, because if they did those things around money, if they did change those externals, and it wasn't changing things in here, more frustration. What my clients really want, and if you're watching this now, I'm going to bet it's true for you. What you really want is not just a new experience of money. You want a new experience in here of you. That's where freedom lives. That's where joy lives. That's where fulfillment lives. That's where peace of mind lives. Instead of that perpetual frustration or fear or guilt or pressure or tension or overwhelm or exhaustion, you want that joy and that peace and that fulfillment. But what's getting in the way is that you're thinking that if I could change my money, I'd have that new experience of me. But the truth is, you can't really change your experience of money until you have a new experience of yourself. Okay? That's just the way it works. In this secret operating system, this subconscious operating system that runs our lives and so much of our world that I call the archetype of scarcity, it's not just money where we're experiencing scarcity. Where we're experiencing scarcity or a sense of deficiency or a sense of lack or inadequacy or not being important is in terms of ourselves. And that's what we don't want to go anywhere near. I don't want to think, I don't want to be not enough. I don't want to be not important. I don't want to be stressed or frustrated or resentful or any of those things. I don't want to be those things. So let me put all my energy into changing my money, into fixing my money, into getting out of debt, because if I can do that, then I won't feel this way inside, except for it doesn't work. It's like you're trying to grow another Money Shift Monday broadcast. I said, you're trying to grow an apple tree from a pear seed. It won't work. You're trying to grow abundance from scarcity. Or more accurately, you're trying to grow abundance, externals, from an inaccurate perception of scarcity you have of yourself. And when that happens, we bring that to our relationship with money. And what we do then is like we try and make more, thinking that's going to make us more. We try and do more. We try to have more, thinking that's going to make us more, going to make us enough. But it doesn't. And that's what my clients experience all the time. Even when they get, oh, I get it. The internals create the externals. I've got to work on me. I've got to do my inner work. I've got to develop a better money mindset. I've got to do some self-improvement. I've got to work on my self-worth and all of that. Yes and no. Because subconsciously what I see happening is even all of that self-help and that personal growth and that creating more self-worth and all of that is at a subconscious level, because maybe that's what's going to give me more money. That's how I'm going to have more money. That's what's finally going to get me out of debt. That's what's finally going to have me have money in savings. And so even that personal growth, that working on ourselves, is still like about the money. And the problem is the self who's doing that personal growth work is the self that still has this inaccurate perception of yourself as not enough or lacking or deficient or worthless or not important or something like that. If we want to experience abundance, we have to go back to the source. We can't engineer our own transformation. If we do, we're just going to engineer the transformation with the same self that first created the perceptions we have of ourselves or the financial results. It's like what we'll do is we'll be wearing one outfit, and then we'll put on a different outfit. And we'll think that that different outfit is going to make us different. But putting on this jacket didn't make me any different, or taking off this jacket doesn't make me any different. The way we're going at money and abundance backwards is because we keep making it about the money, thinking the money somehow says something or measures ourselves. And then when we get that, we try and fix that problem ourselves, but we're just changing outfits. We're not addressing the core, the truth of who we are. For us to have a new experience with money, yes, we need to have a new experience of ourselves. But to truly have a new experience of ourselves, we have to go outside of ourselves. And I believe that means we have to go back to the source, to the one who created us. Call that God, call that spirit, call that source. If you, like me, believe that the one who created, the power that created this universe is abundant, which I think we have lots of evidence for when you look at nature, then there's where we have to go back to experience and discover our innate abundance. In my Christian tradition, we were taught that we were created in the image or very nature of God, a God who is abundant. Thus, we are abundant, not dependent on our external results. So if you want to have a new experience of money in your life, I'm not saying you don't have to do some things around money. But don't start there. You need to come back and have a new experience of yourself. And you can't create that by yourself. Albert Einstein once said, you cannot solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created the problem. I'm saying you cannot solve the problem of your own not enoughness with the same person who has this sense of not enoughness. We can't engineer our own transformation. We cannot engineer our own abundance any more than we're the ones who make the oxygen that's giving us life right now, any more than we're the ones who created the lungs that are breathing that oxygen right now. And unfortunately, in our world these days, there's this baked-in belief that somehow the spiritual is separate from like the material, the physical, financial. Or there's this tendency to want to use the spiritual to still get the money. That's not why we need to go back to the source. We need a new understanding and experience of God, source, the source of all life, so as to experience ourselves as we are, where we are, made in that same image, to begin to experience the inherent worth and abundance within ourselves. And then we bring that to our relationship with money. Because when you can go at it that way, I'm living proof. You can experience joy and peace of mind and freedom and fulfillment, even if you're not making lots of money, even if you don't have a lot of money in savings, because that comes from a deeper knowing and a deeper connection with something bigger than us and our individual perceptions and lives and efforts, with a source of abundance that's right here inside of all of us. Now, to do that, that takes practice. We have to go against many of the things that we've been thinking we need to do, including we have to create an opening for something to happen and do things for us and with us and through us. Source, God, Spirit. Instead of trying to fix it and do it all ourselves. So how could you start to do this right now? First of all, I invite you to just type in your comments. If you're catching replay, I'll come back. If you're here live, great. But we got to go back to, the source that has me have a nose, that has me have lungs that breathe and fingers and toes, that is in me as my soul and my essence, that, we can see anytime we look at a small child, there is no sense of not enough or limitation or inadequacy when we look at the beauty of a small child. We lose that as we grow up. And then we try and fix it ourselves instead of go back to the beginning again. You want a new experience of money? Yeah, there's some things to do. We got to go back and give you a new experience of yourself, and to truly get a new, truer, more accurate experience of yourself, we got to go back to the source who created you and dwells within you. It's not for the faint of heart. It doesn't create instant results. It may not have you get out of debt next month. It may not have you make more money this month. But it will have you start to experience the freedom, the joy, the fulfillment, the abundance, the flow that you can bring to your relationship with money, that can have those things happen for you. So, couple of steps for you. I invite you this week to do something that a friend of mine taught me to do 40 years ago. I invite you to set a timer and just sit down in silence, no music, no distractions, whatever, and do nothing for 5 minutes. Literally do nothing. Don't even pray. Don't journal. Don't meditate. Don't even try and stop your brain from thinking. Just sit and experience doing nothing. And if you're like a lot of the people I work with, you are going to have the itches, bitches, and twitches, because we are so wired that we're the ones who has to do things. That's going at it backwards. And secondly, if this is resonating, or even if it's just making you curious, but if you get maybe it's not just about changing the money, it's about going back to a new experience of me from a different source, not from the money, but from true source of all resource, then I invite you to claim your spot today for my upcoming Breakthrough to Abundance Invitational, because that's what it's all about. We're going to work with money, but we're going to go at it in a different way, such that you can have a new experience of yourself and true abundance. And then you can bring that self to your relationship with an experience of money. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I will pop the link to the page to learn more about it in with this video. I would love to support you, and I will look forward to hearing how this different approach to money resonated with you, caused questions for you. Just let me know. I'll respond to all comments in the chat. And thanks for being here. I'll be back again next Monday with another money shift for you. Have a great day.